From 2000 to 500 BCE, humanity forged connections that transformed
This era witnessed the birth of international commerce, driven by necessity, luxury, and relentless human ambition.
Our journey begins in the East, tracing the development of the most famous trade network in history, the Silk Road.
The catalyst was silk, a secret technology held exclusively by early Chinese dynasties like the Shang and Zhou. Initially, trade was regional, with silk moving from the central kingdoms to the nomadic tribes to the west. The Silk Road was not one path, but a shifting network of trails, passing through numerous intermediaries.
Travel was brutal. Merchants faced treacherous mountain passes, vast deserts, and the constant threat of banditry.
The West offered much-needed resources, like sturdy Central Asian horses and raw materials such as jade. Oasis towns like Samarkand and Bukhara became vital centers where goods changed hands, often multiple times. This multi-layered exchange necessitated the use of standardized weights of silver, creating proto-currency across diverse cultures.
The complexity of these long-distance deals led to early forms of credit and contract law.
The economic benefits were enormous, but so were the risks, requiring collective investment in security and defense.
Beyond goods, the Silk Road was a conduit for cultural diffusion, sharing technologies.
While the caravans crept across Asia, a completely different maritime network was thriving in the Mediterranean.
The Mediterranean, a vast, easily navigable highway, became the next great theater of ancient commerce.
The Phoenicians, master shipbuilders and fearless sailors, were the initial champions of this trade. They traded their most valuable goods, cedarwood, exquisite craftsmanship, and the highly prized, expensive Tyrian purple dye. To facilitate their journeys, the Phoenicians established trading outposts and large colonies, most famously Carthage in North Africa. Their greatest contribution was the alphabet, a simplified writing system perfectly suited for quick commercial record-keeping.
As Phoenician power waned, the rising Greek city-states eagerly stepped into the maritime gap.
Cities like Athens relied heavily on imports, exchanging their manufactured goods, wine, and olive oil for essential grain. Greek trade revolutionized commerce with the invention of coinage, a standardized, portable, and easily recognizable currency. Coins eliminated the need for scales and constant weighing, accelerating transactions and lowering the cost of trade. Driven by a scarcity of farmland, Greek colonies were established primarily to maintain the flow of grain and wealth back to the mother cities.
Further west, a new power was beginning its ascent, the Roman Republic.
The Romans inherited and perfected the economic models of the Greeks and Phoenicians, building an economy based on order and law.
The Roman denarius became the universally accepted currency across the entire Mediterranean basin, ensuring seamless trade within the growing republic. The Romans' goal was not just trade, but control. They sought to monopolize the grain supply from fertile regions like Sicily and Egypt.
Egypt's fertile Nile Valley became the central breadbasket of the entire Roman Mediterranean world.
Their massive scale required advanced logistics, from standardized shipping containers to state-controlled ports and storage facilities.
By 500 BCE, the interconnectedness was undeniable, leading to profound effects on the entire ancient world.
The most immediate impact was the stability of resource supply and the rise of a predictable market economy.
Trade encouraged economic specialization and the transition from subsistence farming to commodity production.
Goods became commodities, easily exchanged, using the abstract concept of money as a universal measure of value. The emergence of precious metal coinage, gold and silver, provided a reliable, high-value, and standardized medium of exchange. The need for safe transfer of large sums of money across vast distances gave rise to early banking and finance.
Merchants began using letters of credit or deposits, avoiding the huge risks of shipping heavy, valuable coin.
Governments, particularly the Roman state, invested heavily in infrastructure, roads, ports, and warehouses to secure trade flows. Luxury goods drove vast wealth accumulation among merchant classes, diversifying the social structure beyond land ownership. The commercial elite gained social and political influence, shifting power away from traditional landowning aristocracy. This era truly formed the world's first international trade network, linking civilizations and destinies. The commercial framework established between 2000 and 500 BCE remains the blueprint for global trade today.
Thank you for exploring this pivotal chapter in economic history.
The Asian routes were defined by geography, splitting to avoid the Sea of Death, the desolate Taklamakan Desert. Early Chinese dynasties sometimes used silk itself as a form of currency, valuing it by length and quality for state transactions. The backbone of the desert trade was the rugged Bactrian camel, capable of carrying huge loads with minimal water. Trade required official consent. Fortified checkpoints controlled the flow of goods and extracted taxes for protection. As empires expanded, standardized imperial coinage like the Persian daric began to unify the currency landscape across Central Asia. The distance and risk meant that only high-value, low-volume goods, spices, gems, and silk were profitable to trade.
Merchants weren't just traders, they were missionaries, facilitating the spread of major world religions like Buddhism westward. Practical technologies, from papermaking to advanced metalworking, also hitched a ride on the backs of the camels.
The land routes were interlinked with the maritime spice trade flowing out of India and Southeast Asia. Spices, pepper, cinnamon, cloves were valued more than gold in the West, fueling the perilous maritime expeditions.
Phoenician influence was primarily economic. Their wealth came not from conquest, but from commerce and a superior trading infrastructure. Their ability to navigate the open sea, away from coastal landmarks, gave them a critical edge in maritime trade. The Greek city-states were the first to fully standardize coinage, making it universally trusted for its metal content. Coinage streamlined daily life. Bartering became obsolete, allowing small transactions to occur rapidly and efficiently.
The trust placed in the Athenian drachma made it an international currency, accepted in ports far beyond Greece.
The driving force for Greek trade was the life or death necessity of grain imports to feed the large urban population.
Standardized containers simplified cargo manifests, storage, and taxation, boosting efficiency.
The Roman Empire created the largest free trade zone in the ancient world, unified by a single currency and a single set of laws. Roman stability and security meant lower risk for merchants, further fueling commercial expansion. Tariffs and customs duties filled the state treasury, funding the military and the vast public works projects.
Commerce fractured the old social order. Wealth was no longer solely tied to hereditary land ownership.
The commercial elite used their newfound wealth to gain political influence, challenging aristocratic rule in republics like Rome and Athens. The need for universal literacy in commerce drove the adoption of the simpler Phoenician alphabet over complex hieroglyphs or cuneiform.
Trade routes were also intellectual highways, carrying philosophical ideas, scientific discoveries, and artistic styles.
The complex financial risks involved in long-distance trade forced the development of abstract economic thinking.
Merchants were the first practitioners of supply and demand, making calculations based on expected consumption.
The concept of trust was institutionalized through early banking, where a merchant's reputation was his most valuable asset. Trade caused massive urbanization, transforming strategically located settlements into massive, cosmopolitan cities. These trade hubs became melting pots of cultures, languages, and religions, fostering a more interconnected human experience. Foreign goods became status symbols, increasing contact between distant civilizations.
By 500 BCE, humanity had built the economic foundations of the world, a network sustained.
The shift from bartering to commodity-backed coinage was perhaps the most crucial economic leap of this era. Commerce moved from an ad hoc activity to a formal, regulated branch of state policy and law.
The concepts of money, credit, and standardized value are the direct inheritance of these ancient traders.
They taught us how to manage supply chains, from the farm to the consumer, across empires and oceans.
This era of ancient trade was truly the prelude to the globalized world we live in today. The simplicity of the Phoenician alphabet dramatically reduced illiteracy among merchants, enabling more widespread contract use. The Trapezitai of Greece were the first true bankers, changing foreign currency and offering loans with interest.
Early banking was risky and often subject to high interest rates, reflecting the danger of lost ships and banditry.
To mitigate risk, they invented bottomry contracts, an early form of insurance where the loan was secured by the vessel.
Temples and state treasuries often served as secure repositories for large sums of wealth, acting as early public banks.
The state's power was literally stamped onto the currency, ensuring its acceptance and guaranteeing its metal content. The vast array of local city coins required professional money changers, further fueling the banking profession. In China, the standardization of copper and bronze ingots by the state simplified tax collection and large purchases. The desire for Eastern luxuries like silk and spices created a massive trade imbalance, with Western silver flowing east.
Consumers experienced sharp price fluctuations based on the success or failure of distant trade expeditions.
Trade pushed farmers toward cash crops, leading to greater agricultural specialization and reliance on imports for staples.
Trade dramatically diversified the diet and material culture of the wealthy classes throughout the Mediterranean.
Cultural exchange often took the form of technological and artistic plagiarism, rapidly spreading popular designs and skills. Military conquest often followed trade lines, as securing trade routes and resources was essential for imperial power.
The stability of the state became directly tied to the reliability of foreign trade and its ability to feed the populace.
The simplification of writing for commerce had an unforeseen cultural impact. It accelerated the spread of literacy.
The influx of foreign wealth funded massive cultural and intellectual projects, such as the famous Library of Alexandria.
The commercial success of the ancient world was a constant balancing act between immense financial risk and extraordinary potential profit.
Multilingualism and cultural flexibility became essential skills for the intermediaries who facilitated trade.
The technological secrets of the East were slowly absorbed into the West through observation and industrial espionage.
The integrity of currency was a constant struggle, with rulers and individuals often tempted to shave or debase coins for profit.
To maintain trust, governments enforced strict laws against fraud, ensuring the honesty of commerce.
These four core commodities drove the expansion of ancient trade, shaping diplomacy and conflict.
The stability of the Roman Empire allowed for infrastructure investments that yielded centuries of commercial returns.
Roman law provided a robust legal framework that protected merchants' property and enforced contracts across vast distances.
Merchants formed powerful guilds to protect their interests, share risks, and influence political decisions. The ability to store wealth in a portable, non-perishable form was a key engine of private capital accumulation.
Political and military instability remained the greatest threat to the flow of goods, causing prices to spike.
The rapid accumulation of commercial wealth sparked deep philosophical debates about ethics, morality, and greed.
Beyond goods, Trade routes were instrumental in the earliest spread of Christianity and other emerging monotheistic faiths. Civic leaders recognized that a thriving commerce was the key to a powerful and stable city-state or empire. The interconnected web of production, transport, finance, and law defined this age of commercial revolution.
The foundations they laid continue to shape our world, a testament to the power of human exchange.
The ancient world's gift to us was the concept of a unified market, connected by currency and trust.
Like and subscribe.